Welcome to the next episode of the Bangor Daily News Sports Show. I'm your host, Adam Robinson, with my co-host, Larry Mahoney. Larry, thanks for coming on again.
No problem. Hey, we got a show to do, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Tournament's creeping closer
It
and closer.
is. Yeah, they came out with some of the tentative schedules for the tournament, and yeah, it's right around the corner. What they also came out with was proposed new classifications for basketball. And so we wanted to look at those and kind of give our thoughts. Larry, you can go first. Like,
Sure.
what jumped out to you when you first saw them?
Well, one of the things that jumped out to me, two things that jumped out to me. Number one, Bangor and Hamden now won't have as much travel just because Double A is out. They've replaced it with A, and instead of going to play teams like Cheverus, Portland, Wyndham, and Deering, which they still could do, those teams have been replaced in Class A North by Brunswick, Messalonski, Mount Ararat. So less travel, which is good for them. And then Brewer is in the group too. So that's good because we have three teams in our area that will be in that one class.
That'll be fun.
The other thing that stands out is Class S. I really like Class S just because it never made a lot of sense to me that Searsport and Greenville were Class D South because there aren't many Class D schools in Southern Maine. So now you got a 22 team conference, all one group, and you can schedule accordingly. So I like it. Yeah, I mean I know there's some that don't, but I like it. I mean it's to their credit, the MPA keeps trying to perfect things and make things better, and I think this is smart. It also means your Class A North tournament doesn't necessarily have to be in Portland, which is always a disadvantage for teams like Bangor and Hamden because they have the furthest travel. So now it's going to be in Augusta, maybe even Bangor. Who knows? I mean, I understand why they don't want to have it Bangor because when they first took it out of Bangor, the A tournament, they were like I think the number was. I think there were like 13 schools closer to Augusta and 6 closer to Bangor or something like that. So it made sense. I mean, let's face it, it makes sense. But no, this is fun. I mean, it would be interesting because I think I was talking to Jay Campbell? Jay Campbell, the girls coach at Bangor. They haven't played a game at the auditorium at the Civic Center, the Cross Insurance Center.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, well, why don't you schedule one? Why don't you? My suggestion would be maybe play Brewer and Hamden one game there. Yeah. And flip-flop from year to year. Okay. That's what they do for the Philly Alphon hockey game between Bangor and Brewer. Yep. So this year Bangor is a home team. And so there, and then the road games at Brewer, the next year flip-flop. Yeah. So I'd love to see Bangor, Brewer, Hamden, play games or play at least a game at the Cross Insurance Center. Of course, up until now, the thing working against that would be why would you have a game there? Yeah. When you're not going to play your tournament game there, you're not going to play a tournament game there. Yeah, exactly. And why would you give up the home court advantage? Yeah. Playing at the Redberry Gym or the Barai Gym or the Hampton Academy Gym. So that makes sense too. But no, I like the fact. I like the fact. For us, we have teams from our circulation area, prominent in all 5 classifications, all 5 divisions. So so that's good too. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like it. To be able to see the Brewer, host teams like Edward Little and Oxford Hills, I think that'll be really cool. Just knowing those programs like Lewis and Edward Little, and then me moving up here and getting to know Bangor and Brewer, those programs that are usually pretty strong. That'll be fun to watch. Just new matchups to see. And then, I think when I talked to Mike Bisson of the MPA, he said a lot of this was centered around tournament games and where you can play things. And Class S in particular, he said that they're going to probably play a good amount in Bangor, but they're going to have kind of flex spots within the schedules at all the places, so that if 2 county teams are playing they can play in Bangor, but if there's two Class S teams that are closer to Portland, they can play in Portland or meet in the middle in Augusta or
Right.
whatever works. So I like that part. And then, yeah, just
I like the flexibility of that, just
Yeah.
because sometimes, you've been covering it long enough, or you've been following it long enough where,
Mhm.
you may have, for example, you could have Bangor and Hamden, well, not this year, but in girls,
Yeah.
possibility, but I mean, playing a championship game, the AA North championship game in Portland.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Or vice versa. If you had it here, you could end up with the Chevrolet Oxford Hills game at the Cross Insurance Center.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like the flexibility, just
Right.
because you should be able to say, okay, look, we're not gonna make you, and they try to do that for all the postseason.
Right.
They try to make it so that, you don't have a situation where one team, although you can't, sometimes you can't do it.
Sometimes
Or
you
some
can't.
teams got to travel 4 hours, the other team, it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
works out that way somehow.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So somehow, yeah, right. But I just like the new matchups we're gonna get. I know B and C got kind of split up, so Orono and Ellsworth are now apart. Orono's in C and Ellsworth is up to B. But yeah, it's just gonna be really exciting, and they're gonna vote on it on Thursday. And then if that goes through, the athletic directors in the spring are gonna vote on it to solidify it. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I
About
think, like I said, I think, they need to do something, and
Yep.
and they've done it. And as with anything, there are gonna people that love it, there are gonna people that hate it.
Right.
It's just the nature of the beast. But
Yeah.
what they're trying to do is make it equitable and make it like Mike Bisson talked about, make it so that, the tournament, you get tournament sites set up,
Yeah.
you have some flexibility there. And, I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, and I mean, they went through, I think, like 8 proposals, and this is the one they came up with, and I like it. They did their due diligence, and I'm just excited. And yeah, travel wise and game wise, geographically, I think it'll be really good for the tournament, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that they put the tournament in mind, because that's what matters. So
Yeah.
all right, so let's run through some classes here. Larry, you can start first.
Yeah, I mean, AA, it's Bangor continues to roll, as does Chevrolet and Oxford Hills. I think.
Yeah.
Adam, I think we may want to mention here is that you are starting to see some teams starting to square off against each other.
Yeah.
Chevrolet, the defending state champs, they've only lost once, and that was a season opener to Bangor.
Yeah.
They're at Oxford Hills, which is undefeated, on Saturday at 1.
That'll be
And
awesome.
Bangor hosts Hamden Friday at 7.
Okay. Yeah.
So
We'll learn a little bit.
and then Bangor's home to Oxford Hills on Tuesday. So again, it's 3 teams: Oxford Hills, Bangor, and Chevrolet. They're your 3 front runners.
Right.
You have Hamden possibility, Wyndham maybe. But so it's a situation where now, as we get to crunch time, as we get closer to tournament, some of those teams are going to start to play each other, because Bangor and Oxford Hills play twice upcoming, but they haven't played yet. And Chevrolet, like I said, Chevrolet and Oxford Hills play on Saturday, so
Yeah,
we're starting to see that. And so that's how about you? What's going on, AA?
Yeah, well, it's cool that this seems like the upcoming week that we might learn a little bit more, because it seems like, yeah, those 3 teams have been at the top, and so
Yeah,
we'll learn them playing each other, how they look. AA North, it's kind of the same, like with the girls. And the boys, Oxford Hills beat Portland. Portland is at the top of the heel points, but
yeah,
for some reason, but Oxford Hills is now 10-1. They beat Portland. Again, Oxford Hills' only loss is to Lewiston.
yeah.
Lewiston's 8-2, and they have Portland next week, so that'll be a good one.
Those are 3.
And I would throw Chevrolet in there too. They're 8-3, and they have Oxford Hills on the 20th, so Friday. I don't know if that game will happen with snow, but that'll be
another one, right?
Yeah,
Gee,
Friday we're
what
supposed
a
to get.
mess, what a mess. I mean, Monday was. I mean,
Yeah,
I felt bad for the kids. It was Martin Luther King Day. They didn't have school, but they would have
Yeah.
snow day.
right. Yeah,
They
exactly.
get screwed out of a day.
Yeah, could have made it worthwhile, but I think Friday's supposed to be a lot less ice.
Yeah,
So that's good.
okay.
And then, so that's double A. I think it's, Oxford Hills, Portland, Lewis and Cheverus. and
Let me ask you,
Learn a little bit. Yeah.
is Brewer in that mix? Would they be in that mix
Oh,
if they
yeah.
were double A? They would.
Yeah. I
They,
think
they
so.
would legitimately have a shot to win double A.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
I've seen Oxford Hills play. I know that team. Tegan Pelletier is great,
yeah,
but Brady Saunders and what stuck out to me about Brewer, we can just go right into Class A real quick.
Sure.
They're 9-0, and it's their depth that I think
Yeah.
is really awesome. I mean, Brady Saunders is really smooth. He just gets everything really easily, but he has Brock Flagg who can score. And Brady Saunders said it after a game last week that I covered. He said that the difference between last year and this year is they have size. And
Yeah.
they have Ryder Goodwin and Cam Hughes, who aren't the tallest, but they're just built and they're
Yeah.
strong. They get rebounds and long.
yeah,
So, and then Evan Neto, their point guard, is Ben Goodwin, the coach, said is the toughest player on the court at all times. So it's a really strong team. I think that they would be right there with Oxford Hills in double A.
yeah. So that's interesting because if they make the reclassification next year, so you have timing. So you have Brewer that would definitely be a contender at A North, might probably the next year.
Yeah.
But with this team, aren't they senior late?
Yeah, they're very senior laden. So
Oh.
next year might look a little bit different.
Yeah.
And Tegan Pelletier is just a junior. So Oxford Hills
Yeah.
could be good again next year.
If he stays.
If he stays.
Well, his dad coaches the girls team, Nate.
Right.
I don't see why he'd leave.
I know.
His year.
I think he's gonna stay. Yeah, this year's team I think would stick up in the top of double A.
Yeah. They would be a legitimate shot to win the state.
Yeah, just because of Brady
Yeah.
Saunders.
Okay.
So and I think it's Brewers all the way to the final. And we'll see how it goes. In A South, real quick, it's just Falmouth and Westbrook at the top, and Falmouth plays Portland on Friday, which I thought is an interesting
Yeah.
game to see how Falmouth kind of sticks up against a top double A team.
Yeah.
So girls A North.
I
Larry,
mean,
what do you
ditto, Gardner and Lawrence. I
Yeah,
mean,
same kind of
Cody's,
stuff.
yeah, I mean, Lawrence is 8-2. Cody's also 8-2, but Cody has played Gardner, lost by 25, but they played Lawrence and they lost by 16. Cody and Gardner played each other on the 31st. Cody and Lawrence played they're on the 9th. And then Cody and Lawrence, Gardner and Lawrence have one more showdown. Gardner won the first game by 4, so they're going to play each other. But yeah, barring, Cody's having a nice season, but I would be
Right, like we've been saying.
yeah, it's Lizzie Gruber and Gardner against Hope Bouchard and Lawrence, and they both have very good supporting cast. So I don't see how that's not going to be your final in a South
And-
A North. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and Lizzie Gruber just got to 1,000
1,000
points
points,
and
yeah.
1,000 rebounds. So
That's quite involved.
yeah, congratulations to her. She's really phenomenal. So all right, I'll jump to B North.
Yeah, B North.
It's still an interesting region. It's a battle at the top of
Old Town Ellsworth.
Old
Orono.
Town, Ellsworth, Orono.
Yeah.
They all have double-digit wins, and Winslow is right there at 8-1.
Yep.
They're only 9 games in, but that Jason Reynolds and Andrew Poulin, both seniors, can score the ball. They're not going to play those teams this year in the regular season, so we're gonna have to wait with Winslow in the playoffs. But in Old Town and Orono don't see Ellsworth again for the rest of the regular season either. So the playoffs will be
They
very
would play each other once.
Yeah,
That's
which I thought was really
that's
interesting.
odd. That's odd.
In Old Town, I wish that Old Town played Ellsworth because they gave Ellsworth the biggest push. They beat them. They lost to Ellsworth by 2,
Yeah.
and then Orono lost by like 7 or 8 the
Yeah.
next game to Ellsworth. So I wish they were playing again, but we have a 4-team race, I think, and Foxcroft is hanging around at 7-3 also
Okay.
right there. So that's how B North boys look. What do we got for girls?
Well, we've got I think we've got 3 teams. We got 2 that are definitely contenders.
Yeah.
Old Town is now 12-0.
Yeah, they're just
And they're on a roll. I mean, they beat Caribou by 3, and everyone else they beat by at least 11. So they've just got They've got Sage Evans inside, they got Gabby Cody inside, they've got Michaela Emerson outside, Taylor Loring, a freshman outside.
Yeah.
And they've got DeGrasse, who's, averaging over something like close to 8 assists a game. So, I mean,
Jeez.
they're just a total package.
Yeah.
They'll be hard pressed, but the fact that it'll only be Caribou by 3, and Caribou 6-2, the only other loss was a Presque Isle, their arch rival. So,
Right.
rivalry game. So again, they have the Battle of Dupre. So I mean, like I said, I think it's Old Town, Caribou, Ellsworth, Old Town being the favorite.
Mhm.
And then I think Ellsworth, even though they lost to Caribou, I kind of like Ellsworth. I mean, he's got he's got some girls. He's got a girl named Grace Jaffrey. He's averaging 20 points, 9 rebounds. Abby Riddell, their point guard. Jaffrey's inside. Abby Riddell's 10.2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 2.5 assists.
Yep.
She's their point guard. So you got a point guard, you got an inside player, and then they got like 5 girls averaging 5 to 8 points a game. So I mean, they've got good balance. Andy Pooler said they've really stressed offense, and they're averaging 69 points a game. So
there you go.
They can beat you a lot of different ways. So
Mhm.
I think if someone said, okay, here's your paycheck, you pick 2 teams that are going to be in the final right now, I would say Old Town and Ellsworth, but Caribou lurking right there.
Yeah, the Caribou team seems, from the results you've shown, they seem like they're right there.
Lost to 3 to Presque Isle, lost to 3 to Old Town. They're right there.
Yep. Cool.
But they're they're a young team too. As is Ellsworth. Ellsworth, I mean, the 2 players I mentioned, Jaffrey and Riddell, are sophomores.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of sophomores. They got a freshman who's a quality player. So I mean, they're so that's going to be a fun tournament. B's fun.
Yeah, the more teams you can have, the better. Like in boys, Orono beat Old Town by 10, and they have them at the end of the year again.
Yeah.
All 3 with Ellsworth, they've been close games. So the more you can have, the better. So
okay. What do you got to see?
We have. Oh, I clicked on girls. Boys, Fort Kent again, 10-1. We've talked about it. Schedule stuff. We'll see how they look, but they're winning their games. Dexter is 10-1, and I talked to their coach today, and he was telling me that he's really excited because he's got Will Kuzniers, who
just 1,000 points.
1,000 points just recently went committed to Hassan men's basketball, which is very cool, and I think he had 30 something in a win yesterday. They're 10-1, and the coach was talking to me about how, they're playing defense. They're really tough, but I asked him what kind of sticks out about this group, and he's saying they're playing so much defense. The defense is strong, but they're scoring a lot too.
Yeah,
they're scoring more than previous teams. Per game, and he really likes that. The only loss, we mentioned it last week, is to a 3-point loss to Foxcroft in Class B. And they've taken care of business.
And that's a 7-win Foxcroft team. So that's a good B team. It's not.
That's a really good program there. So I think Dexter looks really good. I asked the coach about last year they were 6-5. I mean 12-5, sorry. And I asked, they already have 10 wins now. What's the difference? And he said a couple of the games last year, they just were decimated from COVID. So they lost a couple games because they didn't really have anybody. So he feels just as confident as this year. And obviously that last year's Dexter team made it to the final. So but it should be exciting. It's still Dexter at the top. What about in girls C North?
Ditto with Dexter. Dexter girls, again, just not giving up any points, about 26, 27 points a game. Actually, but less than that, I think 22. 23 points a game. But Jody Grant, he said they had a good nucleus back. Now they got Maisie Peach, 6'2", center. Sister of Megan Peach, had a great career at Dexter and at Hassan. And Maisie had kneecap issues last year, so she hardly played. Played a little at the end of the season, and she just got cleared in November. And you have a big, and then they got a bunch of other components. They got Callie Gaudreau. They've got just a lot of. They've got like a bunch of. He said after through their first 9 games, they've since beaten Mananoka for their
Mhm.
10th win. He had 5 different girls be their leading scorer.
Wow, that's good.
So, I mean, they're going to play stifling defense. They always do, stifling man to man. They're going to make it very hard for you. They're patient with the ball. They wait for good shots, and then they crash the boards. They're very athletic. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, he's got, and again, when you look at their scores, I mean, the teams that are, they beat Mananoka 41-34, 31-28. They beat Penobscot Valley 44-41. And Penobscot Valley, of course, is a power, as they are every year.
Yep, 8-1.
And they play tomorrow night at Howland, Dexter at Howland, Penobscot Valley. So that's an interesting. Izzy Allen from Central is closing in on her 1000th point. Izzy's going to UMaine. Central again has played close games with these teams, so they're in the mix. So basically, you got Dexter, Penobscot Valley, and let's not forget Hodgson. They're undefeated. They have Anna Oliver, a terrific player.
And I wanted to ask you, because you talk about Dexter's defense, and then if they play Hodgson or Central with Anna Oliver and Izzy Allen, how would they? Who would you give the nod to? Would you give it to Dexter just because of the team defense, or is Anna Oliver at Hodgson, that special?
She's a game changer.
Yeah,
Anna Oliver's a game changer. I mean, she just, she's a sophomore and plays like a senior. I mean, she played like a senior last year as a freshman. I just really, in Hodgson, they play Southern Aroostook a couple times, so. They've got some quality games on their schedule. So I like again, Macy Peach inside, you get a dominant inside player that can make a difference. That changes
a lot of things a lot of the time.
But sometimes what happens, and you and I, you've seen it a bunch too, is that sometimes when you have a real good big, you get the hype of the tournament, they get in foul trouble. The games, we can debate this all we want. Sometimes maybe the games are called a little tighter than they are because all the raters are there. The referee raters who rate the referees. So the referees want to call it by the book.
Exactly.
What may let go. Excuse me, all of a sudden they start calling. So I mean, it's hard. It's difficult to bet against Dexter. Or Penobscot Valley. I mean, they've got length. They got Ellie Austin. They've got the Loring sisters. I mean, they've got good players. So I mean, I think basically you have Hodgson, Dexter, Penobscot Valley, Mananoka has some bigs, so they're good. They play tight, and you got Central. You got 5 teams that can win that. Awesome. I think you have 5 teams that can win that. So that's going to be a really intriguing class. How about C South? Not C. How about boys? See boys. Well, we talked about D boys.
D boys, sure. A lot of the same. Again, Machias 9-1, Easton 9-2, and Bangor Christian at 8-2. And Southern Aroostook keeps winning at 9-0, but it's those schedule things where not a lot of these teams are, overlapping and playing each other quite often. So we'll see. Southern Aroostook is like I said, undefeated and winning by a lot in a lot of these games. So they're taking care of business in their, playing who they play. And so we'll see. Their offense seems really, really strong. They have a couple games where they've scored in the 80s, 70s a lot. They even have a 101-point game. So that'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I saw
what's their schedule like?
They've got Van Buren next, which they took care of.
Have they been tested at all?
No.
Okay, that's not going to help.
No, it's got to be a little nerve-wracking, and it doesn't seem they have Hodgson later, but they beat them already by 30 plus. So
that was one of the closest games. Okay, well,
and so we'll see.
Well, that's the beauty of the tournament, because they're going to play. They're going to end up. They eventually. Well, it doesn't have to happen, but they may end up with a team like a Washington County team. Like Machias, who could. Maybe play a little tougher schedule. I don't know. And that could be a test for them. And when you're untested, now all of a sudden, how do you react? Okay, all of a sudden we're only up by 3. Usually at this time we're up by 33.
Exactly.
So how do you react to that?
Right. So you like to see games or teams that play maybe up a class, and even if they like Dexter going and losing by 3 to Foxcroft, I really like that just because they were put in that situation in a real close game. I've only seen out of the Class D teams, I've only seen Bangor Christian and Machias with Shane Feeney, who can kind of do it all.
Game changer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
game
So he's
changer.
somebody, you like teams with, I mean, you look at, you look at what game changers can do.
Yeah.
They can really, they can win a tournament for you, basically.
Yes,
As long as you can't be the only game. You got to have supplemental players.
Yeah.
You're not.
That's what I would worry
Maybe
about.
you can have one great player and a couple marginal players, and then, but usually not.
Right.
Even in D, you got to have you got to have 2 other players that can play, that can get you some points, rebounds, assists, steals, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was, but when it comes to crunch time, you just.
Yeah, Machias played really good team defense.
We look at stories last year with Allison Alley.
Yeah,
just basically she just willed them to win it.
Right.
To win it, and then she gets to the state game and she turns her ankle.
Yeah, and then what's your plan B?
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's and then for me, it's just Southern Aroostook and Wisdom. Like I said, no disrespect to Machias or Deer Isle Stonington, who are both 7-1. I mean it. Because they've got very good programs. Deer Isle Stonington's always in the mix, and Machias has beat them. So, but Southern Aroostook, I mean, they play Hodgson, they play Penobscot Valley, they play Fort Kent.
Yeah.
So they play 6 tough games.
Yeah.
Wisdom does not have that luxury. They only played Fort Kent. They beat them twice last time, 41-40. So that they play so unfortunately the teams on their schedule are weak. So I mean, I've got to think Southern Aroostook will win.
Yeah.
Just because they're going to be more battle tested, and they've played 4 state games in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to sort it out with COVID.
Yeah.
They've won 3 states in 4 years in the last 4, 3 of the last 4 states.
Yep.
So until you show me that you could knock them off, and of course they beat Wisdom in the final last year. Southern Aroostook's still a team to beat.
Yeah.
And credit to Wisdom, they're undefeated. They're 10-0. I don't see any losses on the rest of their schedule.
Yeah.
So they'll come in undefeated.
Right.
But right now, Southern Aroostook's actually ahead in Eagle points.
Yeah. And it was just like what we were talking about on the boys' side. If you have, you need a couple players if one person goes down, and that Southern Aroostook team, from what I've read, from last year's state title team, returns quite a bit of that group, right? So
Madison Russell is a terrific player. She's again, we use the term again, she's a game changer. But then they have the 3 Shields girls, 2 sisters and a cousin. They can score. They don't turn the ball over. They turn you over. They got easy points off transition. So they're just Cliff Urquhart's a very good coach. So I mean, they're the team to beat.
Yeah, great. So that'll do it for basketball. Do you have any games that you're covering this week, Larry, or anything?
Bangor Hampton.
Yep.
Girls on Friday. Yeah.
always...
I'll have that. And then after that, I'm not sure. I would assume I'll have Bangor and Oxford Hills next week up here on Tuesday. So yeah, so that's what's going on. So again, we're getting closer to the tournament. And, how about you? What do you got? Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. On Wednesday, let me pull up my schedule. I know Hamden and Bangor boys play. I'm not going to it, but on Thursday, Brewer Nokomis again at Nokomis. It was, I think, in the teens that Brewer won by against Nokomis last time, and so we'll see. Maybe at home you prepare a little bit more once you've seen them, to give Brewer a run again. Brewer's closest game was a 6-point win against Mount Blue. Everything else has been double digits by a good amount. So we'll see.
The flag vibe in the Dakota's gym.
True. They're fighting demons, right?
The demons, the flag demons. Will they haunt the witches?
Yeah,
demons and witches.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it just sounds like Brewer's just a machine.
Yeah, they're just a special team.
They know if it wasn't for the Flag Twins that they probably would have been in the state game last year. So And they got a bunch of seniors that want to make this a memorable season. So credit to them. And
Yeah, they
it's not
played
easy
really well.
being a favorite because everyone gets up to beat you. They're not having any issues other
Right.
than the Mount Blue game. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, no, that sounds good. So
Cool.
we're off and running, man. We're
All right.
getting closer.
Yep, almost there. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back next week.
Have a good one.